I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our friends out there in the Bosshole Transformation Nation. How you doing, everybody? This is your host, John Brewer. I am flying solo again this week. Sarah, my wonderful partner, she is out on assignment, busy as ever, that is for sure. And this week, I'm going to be bringing you a conversation with Jamie Whited. We met Jamie a few years ago. She is actually the Senior Director of User Operations and Partner Programs with the Predictive Index. And most of you know that PI is one of the very powerful diagnostic tools we use in our work with our clients. But Jamie and I had been speaking, and she has just a remarkable story of her transformation, if you will, from Bosshole to non-Bosshole, or conscientious, caring leader about the humans that are around her. This is a great story, a great realization, and it is our hope that our managers and our supervisors that are listening in, the ones that are stuck in the Bosshole Zone out there, can take away some powerful lessons and the realization that you don't have to reside in the Bosshole Zone. Even though you may have had a Bosshole in the past, there are great opportunities for you to elevate yourself out of there, and Jamie gives us a great example. So let's check it out. The Bosshole Chronicles are brought to you by Real Good Ventures, a talent optimization firm helping organizations diagnose their most critical people and execution issues with world-class analytics. Make sure to check out all the resources in the show notes and be sure to follow us and share your feedback. Enjoy today's episode. Well, Jamie, it is so good to have you here on the Bosshole Chronicles. Thank you for volunteering to share your story. And this is your story. And I know our listeners will love to hear it and gain a lot from your insights and perspectives. So where would you like to start?
Yeah, let me start with my profile, if that's okay.
Sure.
I believe most of your listeners are familiar with the Predictive Index. I am a captain. I do work for the Predictive Index. I am our Senior Director of User Operations and Partner Programs, and I've been with you for almost 3 years. As a captain, some pros are that I'm a great problem solver. I really like change. I like to control the big picture.
Right.
Innovative, self-starter. I connect quickly with others. Those are all great things. Let's talk about the other side, right?
Right.
On the other side, I'm a little impatient. I'm a lot impatient. I'm a -3 on the C.
Oh, okay. Okay. As a captain, I get that. Your low patience is even lower than mine, so I totally get that. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, definitely low patience. My kids can attest to that. I can sometimes get aggressive when challenged. I put pressures on others to get things done. And I love this little phrase that sometimes I can be a bull in a china shop. So that's
okay.
Definitely a captain. We all got different sides. So.
Sure. And if I may, when we do the work, and you, this will sound familiar to you, when we're working with leaders and managers or individuals, we talk about your superpowers. But we also talk about that kryptonite. We all have superpowers, but let's not overlook that the things that could derail everything. So great. I mean, you're self-aware. You know that. You better be self-aware if you work for PI, right? Okay, good. So excellent. A good glimpse of Jamie's superpowers and maybe some of that kryptonite.
Absolutely.
So take us back. This is about your journey as a people leader. You take us through this journey and wherever you'd like to start.
Yeah. So, when I was thinking about this, and I love your podcast series. I've had multiple people that I've worked with and know that have gone through this. And I was reading an article that PI, the Predictive Index, was in recently, and it was about things that leaders need to know, best practices. And one of them really stood out to me, which is why I reached out to you, which is creating relationships with your team.
Okay.
And it took me back 20 plus years of going, wow, I wish somebody would have told me that then.
Right.
And I started doing some reflection, and I'm sitting here going, there was really a battle between nature versus nurture. And I'll explain that just a little bit more, and that nature and nurture can battle each other, which could create a bosshole, which is what happened with me.
Okay.
I mentioned that as a captain, one of my traits is that I connect quickly with others, and I do. However, I will also put in from a nurture perspective, I was raised in the military. My dad served 21 years in the Air Force, and I just want to give a special thank you to all of you who served, or
Hmm.
support those who serve. Sincere appreciation. Thank you.
Yeah, amen.
Um,
Yeah.
it's definitely a different way to be raised. And when, again, dating myself over 20 years ago, when I started being a people leader, I started to see that nurture. I didn't see it. I had to be told, but
Okay.
nurture took over nature. Nature connects quickly with others. Nurture, I was raised in the military.
Okay.
Um, so that being said, is personally, way back then, I still connected quickly with others. But in the workplace, my nurture influenced and overshadowed my quick connection with others, and I did not connect quickly with others. So it was Jamie personally and Jamie in the workplace, which was this great conflict creating the Bosshole Jamie.
Okay. Oh, well, and not to step over that, but we always talk about being able to show up with authenticity. I mean, you didn't have this context, you didn't have this framework, so there was you in the workplace and then you outside of the workplace, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and those were two very, very different, or we would say, as you said, in conflict. You were going through adaptation, significant adaptation, probably that was really wearing on you. Okay, good. We got a good sense of that. Excellent. All right.
Yes, absolutely. So, long story short, which this is a long story, but we'll go with it.
Yeah.
I essentially, in the workplace, when I became a people leader, became the drill sergeant for my teams.
Mm.
I did not make time to build relationships because we had to get stuff done. We got to go, 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 go. I was working for a small startup organization. We had a lot to accomplish. We were moving very fast. A lot of organizations can, understand that.
Hmm.
So just move, 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 move. That was every day, all day long with my teams. If an example, and again, this is maybe a captain thing, but I would send an email and put everything in the subject line. No context in the body.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Wow. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
yes, that was
Were they also in bold letters or just everything in the subject line?
sometimes bold.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Wow, this is a very clear picture. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, go ahead.
So welcome. I figured somebody could definitely relate to that.
Yes.
So I didn't take the time to know anything about anyone if it didn't relate to the job.
Okay.
If we're having a conversation, it's about the job or about deliverables, about the future, about strategy. That was it. Those are the conversations. And then additionally, I never shared anything about me either. So I'm a human too, but I
Right.
never humanized myself to the team. I stayed the title that I was at, pushing the team to get stuff done. So it
Hmm.
was just a very tactical relationship more than anything else.
Hmm.
Yeah. So to continue, um, where this where I became self-aware, it was
Hmm.
a it's not a proud moment, but it's a great moment that I love sharing because it changed forever my leadership style.
Hmm.
And essentially, the organization I was working for was a software company, and we had uh, essentially a intern that was working for one of the clients that used our software. The intern was fabulous. She was top notch, and I'm just going to call her Sarah for the
Okay.
time being. But she blew us away. I mean, she picked up on the software, her interactions with our team. She was so capable and competent. She was just getting started in her profession. It was phenomenal. We had an opening open up on my team, and she reached out and said she wanted to apply. Of course, the first thing you do is make sure it's okay with the client.
Hmm.
Client's okay with it. And it was a no brainer. We needed to hire her. She was a high potential. We knew she could help elevate the team and the organization as a whole. So we hired her. And she joined and hit the ground running. It was
Hmm.
phenomenal to see, absolutely phenomenal. Um, However, she
Oh,
saw a different
here
side
it
of me.
comes.
Here it comes. She got to see a different side of me. She got to see me as leader, Jamie, versus externally engaging with, Jamie.
Sure.
I will sadly say that this high potential, phenomenal candidate that I was so excited to bring onto our team quit
Hmm.
within
Well, I'm sorry. Within how soon?
7 months.
7 months. Okay.
Seven
Okay.
months. Probably would have been sooner if she had found something just a little bit sooner. But I have a feeling she started looking much sooner than 7 months.
Okay.
Um, when she came into my office, again, I'm a new leader. and she came in and told me she was quitting, that she was leaving for another organization. I was honestly shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying attention. I didn't pick up on the signs that she was unhappy. And I asked her why she was leaving our organization. And she, in turn, asked me if I wanted her to be completely honest. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, I said, yes, I would
Yeah.
love full honesty, full candor. And she said that she was initially so excited to join our team as she admired my expertise and my approach and couldn't wait to be under my leadership. However, when she joined, she still admired me for my expertise and how I approached the team. Well, not how I approached the team, my expertise and what I
Right.
brought to the table. However, and I don't know if I can say this on here, she told me I was a complete and total bitch.
Oh.
And I treated my team like worker ants.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this isn't just a truth bomb. This is like a truth nuclear device. I mean, this is huge. Okay. That's tough. That's tough. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm in the room with you right now, and I can only imagine what you were feeling physically when you heard that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm the type of person where I have to step back and digest things. So I
Mm-hmm.
heard it. I was shocked. And I just said, thank you for sharing. And of course, after she left, I broke apart. And I'm
Yeah.
going, that's not who I am. What did I do? How can I change my tactics? Because this is not the type of leader I want to be. That's not what I want to be known for.
Right. Right.
And, I sat back and I tend to do a lot of reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the core and the crux of it is that I did not understand how important relationships were in the workplace.
Mm.
Truly, not just with your team, but with your peers and with all of the other colleagues in the organization. I had never put that as a priority.
Mm-hmm.
My priorities were to get things done, to deliver, to meet deadlines. Those were my priorities. And it also tied into, why didn't I put that as a priority? And it tied into vulnerability.
Mm.
That's hard for some people, and it's incredibly hard for me, which is why I never shared anything and why I never asked people, because it's vulnerability.
Right.
I wasn't comfortable with it.
Well, you don't want to look weak, uncertain, because I mean, if you think about, let's put it in context, you were raised in a military family, and that, remember, that's not right, wrong, good or bad. It was this is what you experienced. I mean, how we are all influenced by our parents and our family members and their experiences in the workplace. So, at that time, asking, that self-reflection is great, but showing that level of vulnerability was a huge risk. Absolutely. Okay.
And I'll be candid, John, it's something I still work on today.
Sure.
Honestly, it was something that I will continue to work on because it doesn't come naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I just have to continue to work on. If it helps with any context, I was told once, if you want to cry in the shower. Crying's vulnerability. Don't show that to anybody.
Okay.
That's how I was raised.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just how I was raised. I love to tell it. But I think those two big things, like nobody told me also and put emphasis on how important relationships were.
Right.
As a new leader, I did not get any mentorship. I did not get any classes or not that you need classes or certifications, but you need guidance.
Yes.
Somebody to help you understand what it means to be a leader, how to show up, what does success look like, even situational leadership. Those concepts were not introduced to me at this time. So I think that was also a miss, and something that I really try to provide to my upcoming leaders now.
Right.
Is to make sure that they have that guidance so that they can show up how they need to when they're ready.
In the 2.5 years that we've been doing the Bosshole Chronicles, one of the clear lessons from the podcasts, and not only the stories, but the subject matter experts are one of them is putting somebody in a leadership supervisory role over other human beings or with other human beings and giving no training whatsoever. Not even it's almost like, hey, go get them, kid. Whatever you were doing before, keep doing, just do it with people. That is not training. That is not preparation. There is a whole nother world of people leadership. And we throw people into the Bosshole Zone. Nobody is born to be a bosshole, Jamie. I mean, you didn't go in there thinking, I want to be an absolute pain in the rear for all these people. That's not your intent. But you didn't have any other perspective or context. So, you know, training people to be better managers and people developers is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Okay, so this is harsh. Okay, you got a real truth bomb, some harsh feedback. What I really think our listeners need to pay attention to is you took that to heart. You had some self reflection, whereas I think a lot of true boss holes will say, well, up yours, well, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, and I'm as a captain, when people challenge something that I've done or offered up, it's very easy for me to get defensive. But that emotional self-awareness, that really helps us to absorb that and realize, I need to look at this a little bit differently. That's the process you went through.
It is. And, as to your point, as a captain, I could have completely dismissed that, or anybody
Right.
could dismiss that.
Right.
I also did next is I wanted to understand, is this an outlier or is this how everybody feels?
Good. Okay. I was going to go there next. Okay. Go
Oh, yeah.
ahead.
So at that time, I had a team of about 20 people. And
Which is okay. Okay. Stop for a second. That's too big. That's way too many people. Okay. I mean, come on. We really hamstring our managers by giving them too many people. 5 to 7 is manageable if you're going to be a people developer. But okay, you had 20. Go ahead.
New manager, 20
Yep.
people. It was
Okay.
lots of learnings there.
Yeah.
So what I did is I was very candid and I said, we'll call her Sarah, left. She shared some candid feedback, and I just want to have you all do an anonymous survey. Don't capture names, nothing like that. I need your honesty so that I can be the best self that I can be for you as a leader. And I've heard I'm not showing up in the way that I want to.
Mm-hmm.
So they completed it, and I got some very candid feedback, and it validated how Sarah was feeling, that I am not humanizing my team.
Okay.
At all. So it was validation. And at that point, I was like, I love leadership. I want to be successful in leadership. I'm not being successful. So what do I need to do? What do I need to change to continue to be successful or to start being successful in leadership, rather?
Okay. Great questions. And we will be right back.
With employee disengagement at its highest level in 9 years, your company can't afford to miss the mark when it comes to optimizing your hiring, management, and team performance practices. At its lowest level, employee turnover costs you $11,000 per person, and those are dollars you can easily save with the right set of people analytics. Real Good Ventures is a talent optimization consultancy specializing in world-class analytics specific to your people and the critical role they play within your organization. Gain confidence in your hiring practices, keep the boss holes from driving your talent away, design your teams for flawless execution, and create a culture that offers meaning and fulfillment. Real Good Ventures has a family of validated diagnostic tools specific to the human aspect of business, because we know that all business issues are people issues. Visit us today at www.realgoodventures.com and bring meaning and fulfillment back into your workplace.
Okay, let's get back to the program.
Some of the reflection and the things that I did, I leaned on some people that I admire. So I always look at, who do I admire and what are they doing and how are they doing it? So through that, looking at, again, people that I don't know, people that I see in the news, or, just, again, that are high visibility, as well as people that are close to me that are very successful. I kind of started tapping into them and understanding, what did they do? Why did they do it? And then how did they start doing it? And essentially, it's very simple. I'm going to sum it up and say that I needed to start treating people as humans first.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing that. I was treating them as worker ants. Let's get this done, which was important. We got a job to do, but I was not treating them as a human. And we are all humans first. Then we're everything else, including an employee.
Right.
So that was kind of like the high aha moment of, oh my gosh, I really am not doing that. Okay, that's first pivot. The second thing is, they didn't look at me as a human. They looked to me as just a drill sergeant.
A drill sergeant, yeah.
A drill sergeant. I needed to show that I have feelings, that I am a person, that I have a life.
Mm-hmm.
I have kids. I hadn't even shared anything about my kids. I don't even know if they knew their names at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to share that I have ups and downs just like everybody else, and I understand where they're coming from. I never took the time for any of this. I didn't know anybody's names, like their spouses' names, their partners' names. Never took time for personalization. Just skipped right over everything. I knew if somebody was married. I kind of knew if they had kids. Didn't know if they had pets. No clue.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know. Didn't care. To be candid, can they do the job? Are we doing the job?
Right.
So that was another aha moment. Is how do I make the time for personalization and still get the stuff that we need to get done? Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of it really came down to beginning interactions with connectivity and not just getting straight to the point, like that, go back to that email with everything in the subject line.
Right. Right.
Let's pull back.
Yeah.
How are you doing today? How is, instead of saying your wife, I got to know their names. Susanna,
Mm-hmm.
Don, how are the kids? Alexa, Sarah, Stephen, whatever their names were. I got to know the pets' names. That started to pivot things quite a
Mm-hmm.
bit. People saw that I was making an effort. And then I also started to share as well.
Right.
Austin, Jackson are my kids. Oh my gosh, he just graduated kindergarten. We're going to this. We're doing this. And then also sharing again the vulnerability with this company. I also went through a divorce. And this is an opportunity for me to be even more human of going, team, I'm struggling today.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know I'm going through a divorce. Today I'm struggling. And
Yeah.
I'm just here, but if you need anything, and that in turn allowed them to be so vulnerable with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to know them even more as humans. And I saw them work even harder
Mm-hmm.
because of that pivot, because they saw what I was investing. I got to see what they were investing, and I truly cared. And that was a game changer for sure, John.
And that is I know the word pivot gets used a lot in the business context, but that is literally, that's a transformation. That is a transformation in the way you look at work, the way you look at people, and how you decided to show up in authenticity and vulnerability. You know, Patrick Lencioni, we talk about him a lot on here, and the vulnerability-based trust. I would imagine there was a period of time where you solicited their feedback. And as we say at Real Good Ventures, that feedback is the oxygen of engagement. You solicited the feedback and you didn't let it just linger there. You did something with it. But there was a period of time where it's like, okay, is Jamie, yeah, okay, I like what I'm seeing, but is it real? Is it just BS? Did she read this in a book or get it from a webinar? And that takes time. No, but it's true. It takes time to restore broken relationships or maybe no relationships whatsoever and start from a new vantage point. And the thing that I don't want to step over this either, Jamie. We talk about this a lot. Yes, you owned your role in a broken relationship with Sarah and then had the insight and the desire to say, well, where else am I doing this? I want to find this out from everybody on my team. But I will tell you that the organization exacerbated this scenario. So there was the you work to be done, nature versus nurture, understanding how you were brought up with a great influence on military regimen and protocol. I get that. I totally get that. That's kind of the command and control. We do these things this way because if we don't, lives are at stake. Our safety is at stake.
Exactly.
Versus trust and autonomy. And you remember Aaron Dignan talking about those two things. It's like the stoplight intersection versus a roundabout. You were moving from one world to another, but the organization, it's like they made it even worse because it's like, let's give Jamie 20 people, no training, and expect great results. You were cast out on your own. And I think that is one of the biggest things we need to help organizations understand how to reinvent the manager, because you had a passion for people. You wanted to do this. You just said, I want to be a great leader. I want to get better at it. But if they start you out without any tools, you're just guessing. And that's where you found yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And, I won't, it was a great organization.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it was a pivotal learning point for them as well. I was actually the third employee with the startup company. So it was a very young company. And
Sure.
I think when I shared this experience with the CEO, he looked at it as a great opportunity to really start investing in leaders.
Right.
What could he do to help me? How could he support me? What do we need to do? Do we need to do some more relationship building events? Do we need to pull time away from the team to be able to connect? What is it? So it was growth together,
Sure.
honestly. It was growth for the organization. It was growth for me. And I think it really did help influence some of the other leaders that were in that organization at that time. So it was really nice to see that they took it seriously. They acted on it. And the next leaders that they brought in, the leaders that we brought up, once I did not have 20 direct reports because we started creating team lead roles and
Right.
manager
Right.
roles, that we gave them what I didn't have. And
Right.
that to me, I think was a huge step forward.
Let me ask you this then, Jamie. I don't want to take you off track because I know you've got. I mean, you've provided just a really nice framework for how this unfolded. At that time, I mean, you and I live in the world of people data. I mean, we are in the world of people science. I mean, predictive index in terms of behavioral DNA, cognitive ability, engagement, job alignment. We got the whole thing. We at Real Good Ventures also have emotional intelligence assessment and psychological safety and organizational health. You didn't have any of that. It doesn't sound like you had the benefit of objective data about yourself, about your people at all. You were just kind of figuring it out as you went along, right?
We were figuring it out. Now, before I joined the organization, I'd taken like the Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
What that was. After this, I will say that the organization introduced strength finders to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Which is good. That was a step in the right direction. So that was
Right.
my second introduction to it. And then as I evolved in my career, I got understanding with insights. And then, of course, eventually the predictive index.
Right.
Are slightly different, but I did not have that to begin with. It
Yeah.
didn't help me understand who I was, how I showed up consciously, subconsciously, how I showed up at work versus how I showed up by myself. So having that information now, I wish I had known I was a captain
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
It would have completely changed how I engage with my team. It's such a relationship builder. Now before I go into a meeting with somebody new, I look up what their profile is. How do we connect with each other? Are they just as dominant? And then do I need to take a step back? Are they more extroversion? So then I need to spend 10 minutes, letting them talk, getting to know them. It's invaluable information that completely changes relationships, both personally and professionally. It's insane.
For sure. Well, so you've had this revelation, this transformation, and by the way, you didn't change. You didn't change from being a captain. That doesn't happen. Your behavioral DNA is wired into you at a very young age,
Yep.
and we don't expect people to change. Well, circumstances change, people adapt. You went through a lot of self-awareness and adaptation because you were understanding the impact you had on other people. So bring us, closer to today. Tell us about the Jamie leader that we see now.
So the Jamie leader you see now is still very self-aware, which is great. I can tell you the names of every single spouse partner of the people on my team. I have 5 direct reports, but I've got a team of 22 in total. I can still tell you the names of all their partners, their spouses, their pets. I start off and recognize life events. So when babies, I know all of this.
Yes.
They appreciate it. So when I am talking, I'll say his name because he won't mind. Gracious. We had Gracious, who's on my team, who just had his 3rd baby girl. And I know her name is Olivia. I know his first is Selena. I know his second is Gianna. And when I say, how is Selena? How is Gianna? How is Olivia? You can see the sparkle in their eyes just go, wow, my senior director knows my children's names. They know. I can tell you, Colleen, you won't mind me using her name either. Her dog is Hooper. He's our mascot. I know people, and just seeing that they appreciate it and that also reciprocate. I don't say my husband, I say TJ, right? I don't say my kids. I say Austin, Nathan, Evan, Jackson. You can see it just changes. And I will tell you that I've had 2 employees, Gracious included, that have followed me from our last company. I've got 1 employee that has followed me from 3 different companies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is the biggest compliment that any leader can have, is if somebody is willing to follow you, it means that you are doing something right and that they want to stay with you. They
Yeah.
respect what you bring to the table. They respect how you show up, and they see that you respect them as well.
And isn't it a lot more fun and fulfilling now? It is. It
It
really
is.
is.
Yes, it absolutely is. It is. I enjoy it. I feel like I can be myself. I don't feel like there's two different personas. There's not an external Jamie personally and a workplace Jamie. I am the same person
Right.
personally and professionally. And it's relieving. Like I don't
Mhm.
carry this weight. I don't have to put again on this mask. I'm just Jamie with a
Yeah.
flower.
With the flower. And by the way, yes, I know we don't use video for the podcast, but Jamie, whenever I see Jamie, she's got a beautiful flower in her hair. And that is an homage to your time living in Hawaii. Is that correct? And the fact that you love flowers.
That is correct.
And it's a great, I mean, it's a great look. And it's just something that I always noticed. And I'm going to back up really quick. One, I think we can hear it in your voice. The before Jamie 1.0, Jamie 2.0, and I hate to use that, but I mean the leader you were, or the drill sergeant you were, and the leader you have evolved into, totally different. And you can hear it in your voice in terms of fulfillment and meaning. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, when we talk about psychological safety, creating an environment where people feel an interpersonal comfort to be able to express themselves, bring forward issues, point out problems or mistakes, I guarantee you it was non-existent in the drill sergeant days. I know it exists right now. And that is something that you are constantly on a daily basis trying to nurture. And a great way to start with that are your relationships. I'm gonna give you another name we both know, Heather Haas. So
Yeah.
Heather is another certified partner like Real Good Ventures. She was on the podcast and she talked about the people first managers. We have to find the people first managers, and that's what you have become. So, and by the way, just for everybody's information, go into the show notes because I'm going to drop in some other episodes. Heather's I'll put in there. Jason Lauritsen, he talked about the check-in method, and the check-in method I think he uses is wonderful. It's a great way to create a greater degree of connection and rapport and relationship with people. But even some of your colleagues, Robbie
Yes.
Robbie Shinshiri, he had a great one. Same sort of thing. His evolution as a leader. Olivier, who, with Trish, was one of our most popular episodes. That'll be in the show notes as well. But wow, I mean, Jamie, this is just such a great story. And I'm so glad that you thought to share it with the Bosshole Transformation Nation. What else do we need to know about you, or what's in the future for you?
Well, I will say I adore Heather Haas. She
Yeah.
is a great partner to the Predictive Index, and Robbie is my boss.
Yep.
Love him to pieces. I will follow him wherever he goes, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, Robbie, you're listening in. You better not go anywhere. Okay. Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and Olivier and Trish are just phenomenal people. So I can't wait for everybody to hear their series as well because it's phenomenal. I will say one thing to add to it before I say what's next is that I've been able to take this we're human first mentality, not only professionally, but personally as well. And if I may share a very recent example,
Sure.
I just got back from Mexico with TJ, my husband. We were celebrating my 42nd birthday. And on the flight there, we were in first class, and we were not getting the quick service that we would expect. And my husband was starting to get frustrated, but I started looking at the flight attendant going, something's different.
Mm-hmm.
Something's off. So I went up and I said, are you okay? And he said, I'm not. Something personally had happened, and I could just detect it. It impacted his work as a flight attendant. But again, I'm treating him as the human first. I don't care about the drink. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, it changed everything. So it's really every single interaction, personally and professionally, you have to think that they're human first. You never know behind the scenes. And just with that mentality, it changes everything. So I just wanted to share that example. What's next? So I lead 4 different teams at Predictive Index. We've got a lot going on. We've got some great new software upgrades coming, and I'm going to go ahead and share this, but in time, I do want to start my own consulting organization about how I help organizations find service excellence and what does that look like. And that incorporates treating people as humans first.
Sure. Sure. Well, the human first approach. I think you just gave us our title for this particular episode. I love it. Well, happy belated birthday. And Jamie, the work you're doing at PI is great. But again, I think wherever you are, whether it's in an organization or on your own someday, and it's not unusual to hear a captain talk about doing something entrepreneurial because we tend to do that. What I'm so excited about is how you have evolved as a leader. And that's what we expect. We or hope for. The work that we get to do, and I include you in this, it's about, I will, this may sound overly dramatic. It is literally about saving lives. It is about saving the life and bettering the life of managers and supervisors and getting them out of the Bosshole Zone, but the people for whom they're responsible, so that we don't have the Sarahs leaving when there could have been something so great. And it just takes the willingness that you demonstrated to realize I need to do some adaptation through some soul searching and self-awareness. How powerful is that? Well, that's great. That is so good. And thank you again. It was great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, John. This has been great. And hopefully somebody can learn from it.
Oh, they will. They absolutely will. Well, thanks, Jamie. And thank you, everybody out there in the Bosshole Transformation Nation. Keep listening in. And like I said, if anybody has their own Bosshole stories, or like Jamie cares to share their transformation into getting out of the Bosshole Zone, don't hesitate to reach out to us because we'd love to hear from you. And we will see you next time on the Bosshole Chronicles. We'd like to thank our guest today on the Bosshole Chronicles. And if you have a Bosshole Chronicles story of your own, please email us at mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. Once again, mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. We'll see you again soon.